Let's go over what's included in the kit. And you're going to get two bottles. One is going to be for slip solution, the other is going to be for tack. You will also receive the PPF for the mud flaps. You'll get a squeegee, and you'll get two types of clips. One is going to be the pin that you see here, and it's two parts to it. And you're going to get the metal clip that goes behind the back part of the fender. Of course, you're going to get 4 mud flaps. You're going to get 2 for the front and 2 for the rear for both passenger and driver side. Before you get started, it'll be easier if you turn your wheel to the left. That way you can have a better access. You don't necessarily need the trim tools, but it does help especially when removing the pins. So we're going to be using the trim tool and going to remove the clip. Keep in mind this is how it looks like on your PPF sheet. We're going to go ahead and start with the top piece. We're going to spray some slip solution all around the areas that we'll be installing. We're also going to spray down your fingers so that it is moist. That way it doesn't stick to your fingers. We're going to go ahead and peel the top piece, and as you peel, spray slip solution underneath the adhesive side. You're going to lay it down at the bottom portion of the fender. The alignment is simple. You're going to align the straight edge on the left side all the way to the inner part of the fender. When you're aligning for PPF, you actually don't want to go over the edge, and you want to be about 1 centimeter inside the edge. This is important, and you shouldn't be able to catch it with your fingers. Once you're good, you're going to grab the tack solution, which is going to be water, and spray down the edges, and while you're holding it, you're going to gently squeegee so you're not moving the piece around. And as you're gently squeegeeing outwards, you want to push the water or the slip solution outwards and remove all the bubbles. Once you feel comfortable, we are going to make sure we spray tack solution all around the edges, and we're going to do something called sealing the edges and use the squeegees and make sure that it's in place. At this time, it should not move, and you could have a little bit firmer squeegee. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next piece. It's the bottom piece, and spray the area with slip solution, and then peel and then spray underneath the adhesive side. The orientation does not matter in this case. It is a rectangle, and you're going to align with the top piece with the right edge, and also align to the top edge. This goes for the same thing as a top piece. You're going to go right inside the edge. Once you feel comfortable with the alignment, spray more tack solution so that we anchor the top portion of this piece. Once you feel comfortable, you're going to stretch it just across until you don't see any more wrinkles. What we're doing is we're actually stretching this piece so that it's expanding and really going into that compound curve of the rocker. We're going to go ahead and anchor the bottom portion of the piece and then squeegee the rest of all the metal portion out. Since this has a compound curve, you may have some fingers lift up right in where the curve is. We're going to spray more tack solution and gently squeegee out all this area until all fingers or wrinkles are out. If wrinkles persist, one pro tip is to use a microfiber, and you're going to wick up the moisture in this area and hold it down with your microfiber, and for the most part, it should go away. Wipe down all the install area with a microfiber. Remember, in the beginning part of the video, we removed the clip, and we are not going to be using an existing clip. We're going to be using the new clip. You're going to make sure the wider portion is into the body of the trim area, and we're going to go ahead and use the skinnier portion to push it in. You do need to put a good amount of force, and you could use something more stiff to push that in. Now that that's in place, we're going to grab the metal clip and go ahead and use a straight edge in the inner part, and you're going to slide it in. This actually goes behind, so you're not actually touching the paint. If it's loose, one pro tip is to squeeze it down tight so it's a little bit tighter. This is to keep it in place. Just like we did in the front, we're going to go ahead and remove the pin. We're going to spray some slip solution in the install area. Spray your fingers as well, and then spray the top of the piece, and then spray underneath the adhesive side. We're going to start by aligning the bottom portion. You may have to be on the ground when you do this because it's very low. There's a weird curvature here, and that's your alignment point, and you're going to follow that line. And just like we did in the front, you're going to leave about a centimeter around the edges. Once you feel comfortable with the alignment, you're going to spray some tack solution, lay it down like you did, and then gently squeegee it to put it in place. You can see that it's a small area, so it might move a little, so you have to be very gentle. And later on, we're going to go back to it with a little bit more force. Now that that area is completely anchored, we're going to go ahead and spray a little bit more tack solution to make sure it is really anchored. The reason why we do this is when you stretch across the compound area, it's going to stay and not release. Now that that bottom part is anchored, now we can pull up. And the goal here is that you're actually going just a little bit around that edge. And the reason being is the impact point from the mud flap to the body actually goes slightly around that compound curve. And all we need to do is cover this area. You're going to stretch to the point where you don't see much of a finger. If it's a small finger or wrinkle, it's going to be okay. And you're going to squeegee it with some tack solution and then squeegee out the rest of the piece. Just don't go back to wherever you tacked. There is going to be some wrinkles since there is a good amount of curvature here. Spray tack solution into those wrinkles and let it sit for a couple seconds. And then we're going to slowly squeegee out all that water to the inner part of the bumper. What I like to do if it persists is go a little slower and hold it for a few seconds. You're going to use a microfiber and wick away that moisture so that the fingers or wrinkles don't pop back up. Now that we have the PPF in place, we can safely put the mud flap on. We're going to use the pin first, the wider piece in, and this is going to go into the existing hole where you took out that first clip. Once you have that, you're going to use a skinny portion, and it's a little awkward to move because you have that tire there. So you could use something that's hard to leverage and push that all the way in. Once that's in, you do have to lift it up a little bit higher and make sure it's aligned at the bottom. And that's how you know that it's sitting in the right places. We're going to use the clips, and remember using the straight edge in the back part of this. And you're going to make sure that both clips, the metal clips, are in. One tip is if you for some reason have to remove your mud flaps, I will use a trim tool and you could pry it away. It loosens up the metal clips, so it makes it far easier to remove it if you have to. If you want to put it back, all you have to do is squeeze it down and tighten that. It should have enough tension so that it holds that mud flap in place.